Welcome to The Light Show. I'm Mike, he's Al, and here's... Welcome to The Light Show. I'm Mike, he's Al, and...
Hello, I'm Maddie Light, and welcome to your light weather forecast. Radar is showing some severe thunderstorm activity all throughout the region, so we ask that our viewers stay indoors to avoid the threat of lightning. Of course, the odds of being struck by lightning are about 1 in 500,000, so it's not very likely. But if you want to be a pussy about it, we certainly advise you to seek shelter immediately.
Is she talking to us?
We're expecting damp conditions all throughout the evening, so again, if you're an impotent crybaby and the thought of a little moisture terrifies you, we highly suggest that you postpone your outdoor plans at this time. Pussy.
Welcome to The Light Show. I'm Mike, he's Al, and here's everything going on in the Keep It Light League, Week 2.
Indeed, my friend. We had major injuries, lengthy lightning delays, and even a little football to be played.
Let's start with the lightning. The second and third storm delays of the NFL season occurred on Sunday. The second one postponed the finish of the San Francisco-Seattle game, leaving a national audience high and dry for an hour. Now, Al, I know you were watching this game with the owners of Cadillac Culp Seville and Caught Red Hernandez. Tell me, what did you guys do to pass the time?
Surfing through the channels, we came across a Miss America pageant and decided to have a contestant draft. I got the first pick and chose Miss Florida, while Culp chose Miss Texas and Mike Ehrenfried chose Miss Colorado. The contest went on and the contestants displayed their unique skills, including river dancing, violin playing, and Bollywood dancing. Despite having the majority of the remaining picks in the final stages, quality beat out my quantity, and Miss New York, Nina Davallari, took the tiara, earning Brian Culp the $30 purse. And I don't think he'll be giving any of that to charity. Congratulations, sir.
I guess I shouldn't have asked. Alright, let's get to the matchup, shall we? Foots and Cop and Nat faced off against Accidental Rapists in a battle of the unbeatens. Despite a surprise performance from Mike Wallace and Jimmy Graham's 33 points, the Accidental Rapists could not catch up with Foots and Cop Fanat, who saw great results from Julio Jones and even Marshawn Lynch. Foots and Cop Fanat conquers the Accidental Rapists 160 to 135, earning this week's feather cap. Owner Justin Haefner summed up his feelings about the big win. Well, first, I'd like to say booyah. I don't know why, it just feels fitting. On to my opponent, Caitlin. She did great. Great competitor, great decision maker. But for Christy this week, it just didn't work out. If Kristen was in front of me right now, I'd say, Christine, you did great, and keep your head. You, Kathy, will turn it around next week. And good luck to Kim next week. On to me, it was a good week, and we will see you next week. Foots and Cop, motherfucker, and I'm out.
Kirsten had this to say. Fantasy football is emotionally taxing. I've probably only got about 2 weeks left in me. Poor Katie. Next week, the Accidental Rapists have I Fly Lighter Than 0-2, but this week, it was 0-2 and Caught Red Hernandez in another game of catch-up. Caught Red Hernandez came with a blitz approach, with all but 2 of his players tallying scores before 4 p.m. on Sunday. With the aid of Randall Cobb, Martellus Bennett, and LaShawn McCoy, I Fly Lighter Than 0-2 effortlessly closed the gap, and not even Anquan Bolden's fantasy point could rebuff 0-2's assault. Mikey, you gotta put some thought in your lineup, bud. I Fly Lighter Than 0-2 destroys Caught Red Hernandez 131 to 119. 0-2 owner Kevin Teal said, I kept it light and put Red Hernandez in lockup like he should be. I am now focused on ensuring I don't get accidentally raped this week.
Hernandez owner Mike Ehrenfried said, it's never fun to lose to Teal, but looks as though I got good company at 0-2.
Do you think he meant to say it that way?
He's very clever. Mike also said, my team is keeping it real light. Well, good for you, Mikey. That's the name of the game. And speaking of games, Reptiles Unanimous owner Dave Viscomi was caught between 2 this weekend as his fantasy team faced off against the quarterback and wide receiver of his hometown team in a matchup against Allosaurus.
With Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson battling to survive the Chargers on Sunday,
Allosaurus was the beneficiary of some major points. Halfway through the game, Dave revealed his true colors when he said, I'm giving Al the pass this week. I'm cheering for the birds. Aww. Do you remember when cheering for your local quarterback was more important than cheering for your fantasy team?
Like it was yesterday. Of course, I can usually do both since no one is stupid enough to put Ben Roethlisberger on their fantasy roster.
Okay, Al. With minimal showings from Jason Witten and Larry Fitzgerald, Allosaurus still managed to run away with a victory, thanks, in part, to both Reptiles Unanimous running backs sustaining injuries. Allosaurus 139, Reptiles Unanimous 88. Viscomi had this to say to his 2 wounded running backs. Thanks for getting injured during the same week, you're a bunch of pussies, and fuck you.
Sounds like someone's being a pussy.
Adding insult to injury, the Eagles lost, and Reptiles Unanimous is this week's recipient of the lead Apron of Shame for his mere 88 points. Time to hit the waiver wire, buddy.
Speaking of shameful performances, Angels Farting Angels came into this week's matchup as major favorites after their 179-point performance in Week 1. However, Stevie Johnson and Jordy Nelson of Trayvon Martin put up just enough to squeak out a win against the slumping Angels. Trayvon Martin wins 112 to 110. And now for comment, Angels Farting Angels owner Mike Basenik.
Thanks, Al. Let me just do this. You know what that is? That's a slow clap for my team this week, for coming together at the last minute to secure my failure. When even a satisfactory effort will do, it takes major contributions from good players to sink in their heels and say, no, we will not be successful this week. Case in point, Steven Jackson scores a touchdown at the start of the Falcons-Rams game. Realizing he's on pace for a high score, he injures his thigh in the process and doesn't play another snap. Vernon Davis, 5 points out of the gate. So, he injures his hamstring early and doesn't return. Failure is almost at hand, but wait! We're only down by 9 and Colin Kaepernick still has to play the rest of the game. The 49ers try punting away, but Seattle keeps scoring and giving the ball right back to them. Even with this 3 and outs, Kaepernick still accumulates enough points to put Angels Farting Angels ahead. But in this moment, Kaepernick triggers his inner Phillip Rivers and does what a champion does. He throws interceptions like there's no tomorrow. Despite his best efforts, he can only reduce the score to 110. A tie. My team goes to sleep knowing their best efforts have only resulted in a stalemate. The next morning, however, when the official ESPN statistics are released, a surprise by Trayvon Martin. 2 additional points. It was a fight to the finish, but somehow my boys came out with a yell. Way to go, guys. Maybe next week you can all get stuck in traffic.
Well, that wasn't bitter.
I lost to a guy who's probably lying in a ditch somewhere.
And finally, it was Cadillac Culp Seville versus Team the Best Team. However, it was Seville with the best players, as Des Bryant and Tavon Austin fulfilled their fantasy expectations with 51 combined points. Adrian Peterson was held for Team the Best Team, and Jared Cook was unable to repeat a stellar Week 1 performance. Despite losing Reggie Bush to injury, Cadillac Culp Seville comes out on top, 144 to 105.
Culp's only comment? Her slogan should be, the best team owned by a Pasenik.
He's got a point.
Team the Best Team's Michaela Pasenik said, there is always next week. Ha. Always next week. Do you think that attitude got Nina Davallari the crown, Michaela? Is that the Nina Davallari attitude?
In the standings this week, I Fly Lighter Than O2 is in control of the Women's Right to Choose division as the only remaining undefeated team, while Accidental Rapist and Trayvon Martin sit at 500.
And in the Abortionist Murder division, Allosaurus and Cadillac Culp Seville are in contention for the number 1 spot, with Foots and Coffinat and Team the Best Team tied for 2nd place.
And sitting at the bottom are the winless Angels Farting Angels, Hot Red Hernandez, and Reptiles Unanimous.
That should do it for us today.
With Angels and Hernandez facing off this week, at least one of these pathetic teams will taste sweet victory for the first time.
I said that'll do it for us today.
However, that also means at least one of these incomprehensibly terrible teams will remain winless.
Ow, shut up!
And we can only hope someone shows mercy to... What the fuck? Did I just get struck by lightning?
Yeah, you got struck by lightning.
That really fucking hurts!
Sounds like someone's being a pussy.
Go to hell, Nat!
See you next week. Remember to keep it light.
She got down, but she never got touched. She's gonna make it to the night.